Chicago woman goes out of her way to save homeless from polar vortex. In times of extreme weather conditions, however, that struggle becomes even more difficult as their lives are literally at stake. Recently, homeless people across Chicago faced freezing to death if they couldn't find shelter for the night. Thankfully, one local woman refused to let that happen. In late January of 2018, Chicago experienced some of the coldest temperatures that the city has seen in decades. With the temperature plunging more than 20 degrees below zero, officials advised people in the area to stay indoors and out of the dangerous cold. Chicago is normally cold during the winter months, but the extreme weather was due to Arctic blasts in the Midwest and Northeast of the United States that had come from a polar vortex. In some areas, the temperature nearly reached -30 degrees with a wind chill factor of about -50 degrees. As a result of the extreme temperatures, most of the city closed down and almost everyone stayed at home to stay warm. Unfortunately, not everyone in the city had the luxury of staying warm and having shelter from the dangerous polar vortex. In Chicago, there are thousands of homeless. At the time, many scrambled to find some form of shelter during the extreme temperatures. Sadly, not everyone was able to find shelter in time and more than 100 people were left outside directly exposed to the deadly elements. A group of homeless people that live in an area called Tent City, a homeless encampment just southwest of downtown Chicago, had nothing but their thin tents and a few propane gas tanks to keep them warm. They knew that being outside overnight could possibly kill them, but they didn't have any other options. On January 30, 2018, 34-year-old Candace Payne, a local managing broker from Fifth Group Realty and Management, was lucky enough to have shelter from the dangerous conditions. However, she couldn't stop thinking about the homeless people in the area who had nowhere to go. It was 50 below, and I knew they were going to be sleeping on ice and I had to do something, Payne told the New York Times. I was crying, the 34-year-old told WGN9. Payne started brainstorming different ways she could possibly help. Ultimately, she decided to see if there were any rooms available at local inns and hotels that she could purchase for the night that people stuck on the street could stay in. For Payne, her mission was personal. According to Payne, her husband, Carlos Callahan, had lived on the streets at one point in his life. I lived in my vehicle, Callahan told WGN9. Based on his experiences, Payne knew that the homeless people still out on the street desperately needed help and that if she didn't step up to help, no one likely would. People judged the homeless a lot, Carlos added. But you never know what these people went through. And I know for me, I wasn't on drugs, I wasn't in a bad situation at home. Things just happened. and the fire department had no choice but to remove the rest of the tanks. Some were still hesitant to leave their sole belongings behind as they feared everything would be stolen. So Payne made them a promise that if anything was missing when they came back, she would replace their lost belongings herself. I begged them to come with me. It was -25 degrees at the time, Payne said. Once back at the inn, Payne and other volunteers started preparing food for everyone and collecting donations to replace lost belongings. They also handed out a variety of goods that had been donated for the group. Payne also went out and bought goods like toiletries, food, lotions, and prenatal vitamins to make care packages for everyone. They were so appreciative. They couldn't wait to get in a bath and lay in a bed, Payne said. We don't get that type of help. I really needed them at that point, so they came right in time, Jermaine, a man who stayed at the inn thanks to Payne, told CBS. We hear about that on the news and other places, but I seen it up close and personal today, and I really want to thank y'all for looking out for our people, another homeless man named Robert told CBS. Payne's selfless act made news across the country. However, she insists she never did it for attention. I am a regular person, said Payne, who spent thousands of dollars of her own money to help complete strangers. It all sounded like a rich person did this, but I'm just a little black girl from the South Side. I thought it was unattainable, but after seeing this and seeing people from all around the world, that just tells me that it's not that unattainable. We can all do this together.